Good afternoon, everyone. Now, my name is Andrew Gough, and I'm absolutely delighted to share with you what I call the hidden hive of history, the forgotten God of the ancients. So, with respect to that forgotten God, there's been many gods and goddesses, and there's been lots of species of animals that have been revered. And what if I were to tell you that of the over 10 million species of insects, that there's one species that has been as revered, that's been as worshipped and held to be as sacred as any god or goddess that's ever been, and which the embodiment of it is the world's most famous megalith. Sounds pretty fantastic, and I believe that is in fact the bee, and specifically the honeybee, and in particular, the queen bee. So I believe that any real sacred symbol had its origins in very basic, fundamental contribution to society, such as the bee. So why is this venerated? Honey for medicinal, ritualistic, health, commerce, alcohol, all these different functions. Pollinating. Without pollinating, the world would be a totally different place. The Chinese tried to employ more people, and more power to them. 26 people required to do the job of one bee for pollinating. Chinese also introduced the practice of using the bee stinger for acupuncture, which is still used today. And wax. So the Catholic Church uses beeswax for its candles, but effigies in the ancient world were really important, as we'll discuss. Propolis, this really magical regurgitated honey, it's used to strengthen the immune system. But more than anything, what the ancients were inspired by were the bees as role models. And sure enough, our modern religion, politics, communism, Freemasonry, regularly orderly society, those mantras come from observing life in the hive. So bear with me as we kind of delve into prehistory, and not much is known in prehistory. That's why, hence the name, right? But we're going to come out the other side into ancient Egypt, and it'll be really clear, very demonstrable, just why and how this diminutive creature has been held sacred. But we'll give it our best shot in prehistory as well. So bees over 100 million years old have been found petrified in amber, as though immortalized in their own honey. And that fact alone made them special to the ancients, especially when amber was as valuable as gold in many places in the ancient world. Honey hunting is one of the original hunter-gatherer activities. And here you can see on a cave wall, 15,000-year-old mural showing man risking life and limb to gather honey for all the reasons we've just discussed. Same practice today in Nepal and other parts of the world. So if this little creature is as venerated as any other god or goddess that's ever been, then why don't we see it in prehistory? Well, these are all images that one scholar or another has identified as either being a bee or a bee goddess. And when I say bee goddess, I mean sometimes mythical, but usually a real woman, esteemed in society, a priestess. Today they go by the names of Melissas, nymphs. Those are all signs that we're talking about a revered prophetess woman. But sometime around 8,000 BC, it looks like, the mother goddess, the oldest archaeological deity, these statues here, that's 25,000 BC. But come about 8,000 BC, they start to get colored orange and yellow, laden with honey. The bee goddess is morphing into the mother goddess is morphing into the bee goddess, the queen bee. Some of these other images, like this one from Neolithic Spain, show this funny-looking creature dancing, and that is because of this, the Waggle Dance. And Plato knew about the Waggle Dance. He wrote about it, and I believe the ancients knew about it as well. The fact that a bee can leave its hive and go 5 kilometers away, find food, come back, dance for the rest of the hive, and they all say, cheers, thank you, I now know where to go find that food. Thank you for that satellite navigation. Many of the images of goddesses in this era and all eras are dancing. And we'll see that may have its origins in the bee's waggle dance. Usually, a giveaway that you're looking at a bee goddess is a skirt with horizontal stripes. Oftentimes, 6 or 7 levels or stripes, because that's the number of levels in the bee's abdomen. And typically, they're colored yellow and black. For now, think the Egyptian headdress. Oftentimes, as well, they're in a shamanic state because honey in the ancient world, particularly in the Aegean, was hallucinogenic. So these women are off their head, and those are bees around their head, representing what it is that they're consuming. So bee goddesses, in this case, there isn't a horizontal striped skirt, but there is a fish on her skirt, and we'll talk later why there's a fish on her skirt. The bee goddess is always protected by 2 dogs, 2 griffins, 2 lions, 2 big animals. You see a lot of ancient symbols here. The swastika before it became a symbol of the Nazi regime. A bull's head. Bulls and bees are intrinsically related, as we'll see. But this sort of image of that goddess is not only perhaps derivative of the dancing bee goddess, but there's another reason why her arms are in the air like that. And we'll cover that in great detail. Marjorie Gambutis has done most of the research in that area. So we're looking at a 10,000-year-old temple wall in Australia, and it has a beehive, a honeycomb. Why? Well, we know later the Aboriginals would be devout honey hunters for all the reasons we've discussed. Eva Crane, the amazing British bee expert, beekeeper, bee archaeologist. I struggle for enough superlatives to describe her. This is Catalhoyuk in Turkey. No, it's not the same picture, but it looks like it. It's a honeycomb beehive shape on a temple wall in the most famous Neolithic settlement in the world. Right down the hall, so to speak, is this Hall of Bulls. And the reconstruction image you see here, I'm sure you've seen before. Bulls and bees are intrinsically related, and the shape that the horns are making is going to become a very important part of this presentation and the symbolism that we see with bees. Also in Catalhoyuk, and I wish I had left a whole full picture here, but this is a hunter in a shamanic state and also sort of running in the quest of a hunt. I argue that this is the first halo, and that halo is comprised of bees. As we go forward in the ancient world, you'll see that this is, in fact, how bees are portrayed. Also in Catalhoyuk, although this particular image is from Minoan Crete, and later we'll find out that the DNA is exactly the same, the DNA from Catalhoyuk and Minoan Crete, so that's where they migrated to. But the archaeologists in Catalhoyuk recognized that the double axe, which is a real physical axe with a blade on each side for ritualistic slaughter of bulls, supposedly, is portrayed at Catalhoyuk in such a way that it looks like a butterfly. And I find that fascinating because in Minoan Crete, the double axes look like bees. There are only 3 living creatures who can procreate without a male participant. Parthenogenesis, the bee, that creature, the butterfly, and women. And goddesses in the ancient world had the title Parthenogen in their title. There's a fantastic PhD out of San Francisco who has done this research, and it's just interesting that in the earliest of epochs, ancient man appears to have known that fact. Or at least that is what is suggested.